Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 77 of SoulsBorne Battle to the Death. We're going to pick two random SoulsBorne bosses, and then each one will be placed in a separate room. They will be forced to listen to the song Wake Me Up When September Ends by Green Day over and over and over again, a la... Oh, crap, I forgot the name of the song. But the song that Daryl had to listen to on The Walking Dead when he was imprisoned. By the saviors that drove him mad, like over and over and over again. And the SoulsBorne boss that snaps the last will be the winner. For the record, I love that song. I think it's a freaking great song. But I think if you listen to it over and over again, I think you might go a little bit batty. So, and a lot of these SoulsBorne bosses, I would not classify them as sane. So, yeah, I think that could make things, excuse me, a little bit interesting. But getting away from the community service this week and, going back to normal, just normal competition, sanity testing kind of stuff. All right. Sorry. My throat is constantly has to be cleared in case you haven't watched any of my videos before. The battlefield has been cleared. It can house any and all SoulsBorne bosses, and it has housed all of them at least once in a SoulsBorne Battle Royal. There are pretty close to 100 bosses in this little generator that I've created, and some special spots that could create some interesting scenarios. So we are going to stop this wheel from spinning, and we are going to see who the first competitor is today. Aldrich, Devourer of Gods. Aldrich is always an interesting choice. And I know I told this story a few times on the channel, but I played Dark Souls 2 first and then 3, and then I went back to 1. So when I first faced Aldrich, I thought that, that's who Aldrich was. Like, the thing that was sticking out of the top of him was Aldrich, Didn't know that it was... God, the name escapes me. I'm so terrible with names. Gwendolyn. Didn't know it was... Right? Yeah. Didn't know it was Gwendolyn from the first game that Aldrich was actually devouring. He's actually devouring him when you come into the room. I read that later, I think, on the Dark Souls 3 wiki. And I was just horrified. And I was like, that's so cool. Now I got to play it again and... and check that out. And yeah, that's pretty much exactly what's happening. And you can also hear Gwendolyn's screams as you're fighting Aldrich. So it's a terrifying sight when you really think about it. When you're fighting Aldrich. Aldrich is tough. At least I think he's tough. Aiden, my youngest son, does not think Aldrich is tough at all. But I think Aldrich is a royal pain in the ass. Especially that arrow attack. Aiden agrees with me on the arrow attack, though. The arrow attack is complete BS. But, yeah. Aldrich, he's not without his weaknesses, of course. But, yeah, Aldrich is always a fun boss to land on. And I think there's some interesting scenarios that we could land on here in SoulsBorne Battle to the Death. So I'm going to stop talking, and we're going to take this wheel for another spin. We are going to decide the opponent for Aldrich, Devourer of Gods. Is he going to devour a god today? Or is he just going to face a normal monster? We do not know. We do not know because I'm still talking and I haven't stopped the wheel. But I like to give the wheel a good spin, so. All right, Aldrich, Devourer of the Gods, one-on-one with... Oh, not one-on-one with anybody, because this, ladies and gentlemen, has turned into the first ever triple threat match in SoulsBorne Battle to the Death history. Pretty sure this is the first time we've ever landed on this spot. I'm looking over at the list, and I don't think we've landed on it before. I added this when I added all the other spots. We've landed on SoulsBorne Battle Royal. We've landed on the Patches spot a couple times, where he doesn't want to get in the middle of anybody. So you have to pick 3 bosses and decide which one is going to face the other boss. We've landed on Guinevere. I forgot what the Guinevere spot is, but basically you have to do what she says, because who wouldn't want to do what Guinevere says? So, yes, we have landed for the first time ever on the triple threat spot. So we are going to pick 2 more SoulsBorne bosses to face Aldrich, Devourer of God. Well, it's 1-on-1-on-1. It's not 2-on-1. So it's going to be every boss for themselves in this. So we're going to spin this wheel again. I'm going to shut my app. I'm really getting on my own case about running my own mouth today. Even though it's kind of what I do. All right. So we have Aldrich, Devourer of Gods. We have Dark Beast Parl from Bloodborne, who is a tough boss, but a little on the fragile side, as we have found out before. He's a little bit on, physically on the weaker side, I guess, one might say. But he's still tough, and he's very aggressive. So Dark Beast Parl is another interesting choice. We're going to spin the wheel. Oh, nope, that doesn't count. Sorry, Sif. I hit the wheel twice. That doesn't count. Sorry for everybody. All right. We have Aldrich, Devourer of Gods. We have Dark Beast Parl, and the third participant in this first ever triple threat SoulsBorne Battle to the Death is Osiris, the Consumed King. Ooh. This is one hell of a fight. I think this is one hell of a fight. Ooh. I'm just imagining that fight in my head right now. I don't know. I mean, I actually shouldn't say this. My legal department is really going to get on my case. I have an opinion of who I think would lose this fight. I don't yet have an opinion of who I think would win. I'm going to have to really think about this. But this is definitely an interesting development that we have had occur today on SoulsBorne Battle to the Death. Aldrich, Devourer of Gods, Dark Beast Parl, and Osiris, the Consumed King. We are going to go now to the contractually obligated bio, so let's have a look at Aldrich, Devourer of Gods. Aldrich, Devourer of Gods. At one time, Aldrich was a cleric in the Way of White, which originated in Irithyll, the Boreal Valley, which implies that Aldrich may have been a descendant of the gods of Anar Londo. Despite his status as a man of the cloth, serving the gods, Aldrich was actually a depraved cleric who delighted in devouring humans and indulging in their last screams, which makes me wonder how he got to his position in the first place, but that's just me. Eating people became so routine for him that it bloated his body and gradually turned it into sludge, because Dark Souls. When Pontiff Sullivan rose to power in Irithyll, the Boreal Valley, Aldrich's habits may have drawn unwanted attention to Pontiff. So Pontiff may have had him exiled to the Cathedral of the Deep, which I kind of wonder how Pontiff got that power, how he was able to do so, but he found a way, so more power to him. Apparently, the Cathedral of the Deep specialized in rituals of purification from stagnant darkness, which Pontiff hoped would contain Aldrich's terrible habit. When Aldrich was posted at the cathedral, he was provided with a new steady flow of sustenance, which resulted in the Road of Sacrifices. Evangelists would be dispatched to the Road of Sacrifices, and they would tell stories of enlightenment, and then they would be sent off to Aldrich to be devoured, which that's a no-go for me, brother. After presumably decades of gorging himself on humans, Aldrich gained an extraordinary amount of power, which gave him the qualifications to link the first flame somehow. Since he was being prepared to become a Lord of Cinder, Aldrich was even allowed to indulge in his depravity as much as he wanted, and he was even allowed to eat children, some of them even his own. But Aldrich, to his credit, when the time came, did in fact sacrifice himself to keep the first flame going, so good for him. But even though Aldrich was no longer around, his stay had been profound, and through devouring humans and their dark souls, the purified water around the cathedral had become corrupted, and eventually it became the deep, an abysmal sea of rotten darkness. When Prince Lothric refused to link the first flame, the Lords of Cinder of old were brought back to life to once again be used as fuel to prolong the Age of Flame. And Aldrich was one of the many that decided, fuck that shit. But Aldrich saw a vision of an Age of Deep that would follow the Age of Flame. And he thought that he could help facilitate that by devouring the old gods. So that's what he set out to do. He went back to the Cathedral of the Deep, and he started seeking out the old gods. He gathered an army of deacons and marched on Irithyll, and he fought with the troops of Pontiff Sullivan and squashed them, apparently. And then the two struck a deal. Apparently, Pontiff would maintain some control over Irithyll, and then Pontiff would basically serve him Gwendolyn, who would basically be... I don't know if Gwendolyn was the first god, but he would become the sacrifice to Aldrich. So when you, as the Ashen One, come across Aldrich in the game, that is exactly what Aldrich is doing. Aldrich is consuming Gwendolyn, and I did not know this when I first played the game. Some of you who have seen my playthroughs know that I played Dark Souls 2 first, and then 3, and then 1. So when I first came across Aldrich, I thought that Gwendolyn was Aldrich. Come to find out much later on that Aldrich is the sludge behind Gwendolyn, and he is actually consuming Gwendolyn when you come into the room. And basically Aldrich panics and takes control of Gwendolyn's body and then starts attacking you as Gwendolyn. So when I learned that, that was actually pretty horrifying. So I had to go back and watch that a few times. And actually, if you while you're fighting Aldrich, you can hear Gwendolyn screaming throughout the fight. So that's very interesting. Aldrich has given me many fits in the past, and I have had more than a few problems with him. My youngest son, Aiden, has beaten him in 7 tries, though, the first time he fought Aldrich. So he likes to rub that in my face every now and again. So yeah, Aldrich is certainly an interesting boss. He is quite slow, but he's very powerful in magic, and his arrow attack is just absolutely ridiculous, especially in the second phase. So yeah, Aldrich lives up to his name. He is the devourer of gods, and and as such, one would think you wouldn't want to cross paths with him. And I think that's pretty much all that you really need to know about Aldrich, devourer of gods. According to the Spark Hunter badge, Dark Beast Paro might be related to or might be Archibald himself, a hunter who was mentioned who created special weapons for the Healing Church using the electricity generated by dark beasts. At some point, Paro was captured and placed in the Hypogean jail, which is obviously where you find him in the game. He's at the bottom, and that is where you fight him. Paro is an aggressive beast. He generates electricity. He is very difficult to fight, but he is somewhat fragile, surprisingly. So that's something that works in your favor. When he gets down to about 25% health, he will enter a second phase where he will become more aggressive and generate even more electricity. So that's fun. If you manage to stagger Parl, it will lose all of its electricity until it's able to recharge itself. So that's a strategy worth keeping in mind. I think I saw in the trivia that Parl is a beast that was designed solely by Miyazaki. So that's pretty cool, because I think Parl is an excellent boss design, and just a very cool boss. Very aggressive. Just an ass kicker. I mean, you look at freaking Dark Beast Parl, man, and that's the stuff of nightmares right there. Like a giant hairy beast generating electricity. Yeah, it's not really the kind of thing you really want to be crossing paths with. But Dark Beast Parl is yeah, an interesting sight to behold, that's for sure, and certainly not a boss to take lightly. I think we can all agree that Dark Beast Parl is a worthy pick, a worthy adversary in SoulsBorne Battle to the Death. So yeah, it's not a good day if you come across Dark Beast Parl in your normal life, but it's a good day if you come across Dark Beast Parl in SoulsBorne Battle to the Death and you don't have to fight him. So that's basically my opinion on that. So, the Twisted Tale of Osiris, pronounced correctly this time. The Consumed King takes place in the Kingdom of Lothric, which is the site of Dark Souls 3. Imagine that. Osiris and his bloodline were synonymous with creating champions to link the First Flame and keep the Age of Flame going. Somewhere along the line, he marries Guinevere, Princess of Sunlight, the lucky bastard, and with her, birthed the twin princes, Lorien and Lothric. On a separate note, I like how it says on the fandom wiki here that the Osiris and Guinevere generated the twin princes, like somehow electronically they did so. So Lothric was the one that was tasked to become a worthy champion, and eventually sacrifice himself to link the First Flame. But unfortunately, he never grew to be anything more than a sickly and frail child who never grew out of his baby clothes. Although I myself kind of wonder if Lothric was just pretending to be sick to get out of sword practice. So when it became revealed that Lothric was just of a sickly demeanor and was never going to be the worthy champion that they envisioned, Osiris resorted to some repulsive measures to try and make this happen, and one of those methods was to try and fuse the souls of the twin princes together, hoping that Lothric would share in Lorien's strength and power that he possessed. Unfortunately, it worked the other way. Lorien became weaker and lost the use of his legs. So, good job, guys. And in the end, it didn't matter anyway, because Lothric just basically decides, fuck it, let the flame die, we're going to usher in the Age of Dark. So, he didn't give a shit from the very beginning, and I don't know that I completely blame him, but, you know, whatever. So at that point, Osiris begins his descent into madness. He becomes obsessed with dragons. He begins to worship the White Dragon Seath, and becomes obsessed with studying sorceries and things of that nature. Somewhere along the way, he manages to turn himself into a distorted, scaleless dragon. How he did this is never explained, so I guess it's not important. And then, in his never-ending quest to champion a child who would link the First Flame and sacrifice themselves, he fathers another child with Guinevere, who, in turn, promptly disappears shortly thereafter, and can't say that I blame her. The new child was named Ocelot and was christened the Child of Dragons. But as you can see, when you face Osiris in Dark Souls 3, Ocelot is invisible, or not there at all, or it's really hard to tell. You can hear a baby crying when you come into that boss room, and while you're fighting Osiris,
and during the fight, Osiris even smashes the baby on the ground and goes even madder than he was. So there's a long-standing question here. Is Ocelot real? Is Ocelot not real? Did Guinevere leave because Osiris thought they fathered a new child and they really hadn't? And she kind of realized he was just off his rocker and fucking insane? So many questions. But, yeah, Ocelot would retreat into the consumed garden and to protect his child of dragons from anyone that might come after him. And when you find him in Dark Souls 3, that's where he is. Then he's holding the baby, and he smashes the baby, and then he goes mad, and then yeah. That's pretty much it. I mean, that brings the tale of Osiris to a close. All that being said, Osiris is certainly no joke, and he's very... in the first phase, he's very magic-oriented, and in the second phase, he's very aggressive on all fours, and he still uses magic, but now he's just, completely crazy. So he's certainly not a boss to be taken lightly. So it'll be interesting to see some future battles with Osiris and some of the bosses in SoulsBorne Battle to the Death.
I personally think that this is a hell of a triple threat match. Aldrich, Dark Beast Parl, and Osiris all have different unique abilities that could make this fight really, really interesting. Now, someone on the outside would probably look at this on paper and say, they'd see Aldrich, Devourer of Gods, and be like, how does he not win this fight? And indeed, Aldrich is very powerful. Aldrich does have very strong magic. In the second phase, Aldrich does have that fire around him that does make things difficult. If you're anywhere near him during the teleporting thing, he does do tremendous damage. But Aldrich's... I can't speak. Aldrich's weakness, I think, in this fight is that he's too slow. And I've said that before. Aldrich is very, very slow, and he's up against two very aggressive bosses. Now, Parl's a bit on the fragile side, if you remember from a few Battle to the Deaths ago. Still, again, he's very aggressive, and he's surrounded by lightning, and he can, I think, explode lightning from his body or something, so he can deal a lot of damage, too. That leaves Osiris, and I do believe that Osiris walks away with the victory in this fight. Now, in the first phase, he is kind of slow himself. He relies mostly on his crystal magic. But in that second phase, he is extremely aggressive, and I think... And also, you gotta remember that when I take these bosses in these fights, I put them on the same level, more or less, so to speak. So it doesn't matter if they're the beginning of the game boss or the end of the game boss. I try to look at them at the same level. Aldrich has a pretty good health bar too, and he can take a lot of damage, and I do believe that Osiris walks away with the victory. I think Osiris wins this fight, this big triple threat match against Dark Beast Parl and Aldrich, Devourer of Gods. Some people may disagree with that, and that's perfectly fine. That's why you're able to give your opinions in the comments. Aldrich is one of the top bosses in Dark Souls 3, so I can see where some people would think that, Aldrich could probably pull it off, but I think in this fight he's outmanned, and even in his regular melee attacks, they're very, very slow. Aldrich, the main thing that Aldrich has going for him is his magic and that arrow attack of his, which is completely ridiculous. So I don't think that's enough to take both of these bosses. Excuse me. So yeah, I think Osiris the Consumed King would be the winner in this fight. But that is just my opinion. Feel free to leave yours in the comments.
And with that, yet another edition of SoulsBorne Battles of the Death draws to a close. RobertBlanchardBooks.com. If you're interested in the award-winning War of a Dragon series, you can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free. If you'd like to hear more about them, the Rise of Dragons podcast, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. My Linktree, my Instagram, my Twitter, all Bobby's World 2110. Mondays to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the Dark Souls Remastered, or the Hot Garbage Remastered, no Estes run. This past episode is literally titled A Complete Waste of an Episode. So, you can either take that at face value and not watch the video, or you can watch the video and see why it's a complete waste of an episode. I'm still in Blighttown, still dealing with that nonsense, and my youngest son, Aiden, does invade the recording, so much to my annoyance. So, yes, things happen during that video, and I do get quite upset. So, yeah, check that out if you are interested, and Wednesdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is what you're watching right now. SoulsBorne, Battle to the Death. And if you just watch it, then I don't really have to describe to you exactly what that is. So, yeah, fun times, as always, on the channel. Leave a like, subscribe, notifications, and all that stuff. I think I'm going to be working on a video for Your Father's Story very soon. Probably record that tomorrow as I'm recording this right now. So, by the time you watch this, it'll probably already be recorded. The point is, I'm going to be making a video on that shortly. So, and I really do need to get back into the Hunger Games. Aiden actually did ask about that last week, and I do have one drawn up. I haven't put it into the computer yet or anything, so that is also on the horizon. A brand new Hunger Games. So yeah, same as always, working my ass off. Life is good. Dealing with drama at work. What else is new? But yeah, everything's good. Hope everything is good for you guys out there. Life is tough right now, and I think we all need to just hang in there a little bit longer, and everything will be all right on the other side. That's just how I feel, and this is how I hope things will turn out. I mean, I think that's all we really can hope for at this point. But, you know, if you have the opportunity, it's going to sound corny, but whatever. If you have the opportunity, spread love wherever you can, because there's not enough of it in the world, and it is much, much needed right now. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. I hope everyone has an amazing week. Be well, stay safe, and as always, it's Bobby's World, and you're all just living in it. See y'all live, y'all. Bye. What's going on, guys? Thank you for checking out the video today, but I got a question for you. Did you know I wrote a book? Did you know I wrote 3 books? Did you know that they're all part of the same series? The Roar of a Dragon, The Treachery of a Weasel, and The Cry of a Raven. ReadersFavorite.com says that its intensity rivals that of the Game of Thrones series. Now, I personally think that's crazy, but it's not for me to judge. It's for you to judge. Go to RobertBlanchardBooks.com and you can check out the books right now. But wait, that's not all. All 3 books got 5-star reviews in ReadersFavorite.com. These books won the Silver Medal in the Literary Titan Awards. The Cry of a Raven won Silver at the Global eBook Awards. So what are you waiting for? Read about Aiden's dream to become a Knight of Delmar. Read about his death and resurrection. Oops, I gave that away, didn't I? And read about his journey back home from 3,000 years in the future to stop the evil that started in Delmar. Go to RobertBlanchardBooks.com. You can read the first 3 chapters of each book there for free. And then, if you're interested, you can buy the books there as well. And if you've already read the books or you just want to hear more about them, you can check out the Rise of Dragons podcast. You can listen to it wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And in every episode, I cover a character from the book, an event from the book, my journey into writing, and everything in between. Ripley, what do you got to say about all this?
Give me a treat or I will end you.
You know she's telling you to check out the books. Go to RobertBlanchardBooks.com to check out the books, or listen to the Rise of Dragons podcast if you want to hear about them. That's all I got to say, and thank you for watching this video.